A well-trained speech and language pathologist told me that I needed to learn sign language in order to communicate with my son. But he could speak, and he could hear, and he was just a normal kid. Imagine yourself 5, 6 years old, in school, and all of your peers were talking about a well-anticipated birthday party that was happening this Saturday. How would you feel if you were the only kid that wasn't invited? I'm the mom of that child. You see, my Luca, he was an average kid. He loved electronics, he loved to play tag, he loved board games. But maybe what made him a little different was that he was nonverbal. He could speak in my home, but outside of our home, no one heard his beautiful angelic voice. Not his teachers, not his peers, not my extended family. Luca had a severe childhood anxiety. It was so extreme that when he was in a social setting, he would freeze. He would shake. And it was like he was frozen in his own body. And as his mom, I wanted nothing more but to help my son, but I didn't know how. And he would come home from school on a Monday after the kids had that birthday party and say, "Mom, when do I get my first loot bag?" Then came the day where he came home with his first invitation to a birthday party. You can imagine how ecstatic I was that we were finally going to a party. When we had arrived, he was a little overwhelmed with the bouncy castles and the lights, but you know what? He was looking forward to getting his first loot bag. And then at the end of the party, a clown came in and he said, "Hello, boys and girls. If you would like a loot bag, line up here. And all you have to do is say to the birthday boy, 'Happy birthday, Daniel.'" My son, his shoulders shrugged. It's like he was melting. So I went to the line and I waited in line to get his loot bag. And when I was almost at the front of the line, I turned back and he was gone. I ran outside screaming for him, and I saw him across the street. He was safe, and I thanked God for that. But he is weeping in his own puddle of tears. And when I ran to him and I hugged his little body, I could see the trails of his tears leaving permanent imprints in his skin. I felt like a failure. How can a mom not connect with her son and get him to integrate and feel included in this world? You know, when I look at our journey, when he was still 6 and nonverbal, I tried so many things. I even went to his school. I happened to find myself in the parking lot at recess watching him. Oh, come on, like you've never done that before, moms and dads? Come on. Alongside of this, I was still learning sign language, but I didn't want to use it just yet. I thought it's time for me to try some different things. And would you believe the next day in his knapsack was a loot bag from that party? He was so excited, and that mom had sent me a note. And that note said, "You matter, and you are enough. You're a good mom." And that's what I needed to hear, to realize that all I needed was to connect with him. You see, all those years that I wanted him to speak, I wanted him to be the way I wanted him to be. But what I realized is I needed to give him the tools and the resources to be who he needed and meant to be. So we started a new journey. And I'm so glad, because as I was learning this sign language, I thought, I just don't want to speak with my hands. You see, being Italian, that comes naturally, you see. You know, and it's like, I don't know if you know, but in sign language, this means no. But in Italian, this means you want more pasta. So I was really struggling. But what happened next was interesting. I found different ways to connect with him. I went to his school a half an hour before and a half an hour after to play games, hide and seek, board games, and electronics, so he could hear his voice and what it sounded like in the school. I'm grateful for the teachers that allowed us to do that. I'm grateful for all the people that helped us and guided us. And what happened in that journey was amazing, because through all the training, my son now speaks and says the morning announcements at school. Thank you. I never needed to learn sign language other than to say, I love you. Thank you.